Now this looks awesome. This is a video I found on Ian Curtis's channel about bending wood, and I thought, I'm going to give that a go. I've been working with wood for about 10 years now, and I've never tried bending it before. Now he says you could do this in your workshop on the weekend, but I don't have a workshop. I just have a garden I can use for woodwork when my girlfriend's not looking. Now in the video, he's using a hot pipe technique where you heat a pipe until it's hot with a blowtorch. So already I'm in. What we're going to need for this build is some wood, a piece of pipe, a blowtorch, and a bucket of water, which I'm going to leave outside for now. The wood I'm using here is giant redwood, so what I'm going to do is cut it into strips of about 3 to 5 millimeters and, well, hope for the best. Now I thought this was a good idea for a video because when I build things, I like people to join in with me. So I'm going to lead by example and give something like this a go. So after watching his video, I did some research to get a bit more detail on the technique. The idea is you use the hot pipe to create steam in the wood, and you can use this to bend it. It also said you should try to keep to about 3 mil or less. Having said that, I'm going to try 3 mil and 5 mil for this wood bending. And propane gas is a good gas to use as it won't burn as hot as matte gas, and that is what you want. I also went through all my scrap and tried to make a jig. Well, I did make one, it just didn't look very good. But all I was trying to do is make sure the blowtorch was level whilst blowing through the pipe and that it was clamped securely in place.
6 hours later.
Okay, so I've just had to call the fire brigade. Now I got home about 6 PM and when I walked in the door, the carbon monoxide alarm was going off and I could smell burning. So I've had a gas engineer around, I've had to call the fire brigade, and it turned out it was just a low battery on the carbon monoxide detector, and the next door neighbours had a barbecue. But when they came round, they saw this. Let's just say I don't think they're going to be subscribing to the channel anytime soon. Okay, so I have done the this terrible jig. It's going to hold the blowtorch steady. I've clamped it to the table. Hopefully it won't move too much. You do not want this falling off. I'm not going to put anything in front of the hot end of the pipe, obviously, when it's on, and I'm not going to touch the hot pipe with my hands. I'm just going to get some wood and see if I can bend it. Now, it did say to soak this overnight, but I haven't actually done that, so I don't know if this is going to work. But let's find out. Okay, so I found a lot of things out. Now I left the wood to soak for about 4 hours whilst I made the jig and made the intro to this video. And I found no difference between trying to bend the wood after 4 hours and doing it after 36 hours. So I'm guessing 4 hours is a reasonable amount of time to leave it. And you know when the pipe is hot enough because the water just dances off of it. If it's too cold, it just evaporates straight away. I also found that the hotter the pipe, the easier it was to bend the wood, but then it was also more likely to char the wood. So I kept dipping it in a bucket of water, trying to keep the charring down, but I couldn't stop it entirely. I also found that certain parts of the pipe were hotter than others, so I could use that to my advantage and play with bending the wood with different heats. The 5mm wood was a lot harder to bend than the 3mm wood, but if I took it off and kept the bending pressure on whilst heating it, it did help me get a bit more of the bend out of the wood. If I could have cut thinner slices with the circular saw, I would have been better off with thinner wood still. Another thing I found was it was important to keep the pressure on the wood even when you take it off the pipe, otherwise it will just go back to the position it was before. You can use grips if you need to get close to the pipe without burning yourself, but I would also consider just using longer wood and cutting it to the size you would like afterwards. Overall, I found it was quite a relaxing process. It was a lot slower than I thought it would be, so I found you just had to take your time and enjoy yourself. So even if you do take your time, it's likely things will still go wrong, the wood will still break in places, but you can always cut these back, or just try a new strip. Once you're done, you can find a way to clamp them in a position you like, otherwise they'll just try to go straight when they dry. And then once they have dried, they should then hold their shape like this. Now looking at the pieces of wood, they reminded me of the kind of things I would see in a kid's illustration book. And as I hadn't thought about what I would do with the wooden strips once I had made them, I decided to try to build a sculpture with this theme in mind. I used AI and my laser cutter to make these shapes, and then I started sanding. Now, I don't enjoy sanding at the best of times, but trying to sand the burn marks off the wood I just bent was very difficult, and I was worried about breaking them. Now, it wasn't too bad when I was on the outside of the curve, but the inside of the curve is a different story. Okay, so this is taking ages to sand. So I've done the outside, but the inside's a bit more tricky. I'm worried about breaking it. So I'm going to try something a bit different. So instead of sanding the burn marks off to hide the burn marks, I just decided to burn the hole inside. I think this is a good idea, and this will also match the burnt edges from the laser cutter. So there you go. If you can't beat them, join them. It's on the inside. I quite like it looking a bit like a shadow, so I'm going to do the same with the other one. Now, I think there's going to be a lot of people that say this is cheating, and, well, possibly they're correct. But at the end of the day, everything would have been built some way or another, and I don't really think there is a right or wrong way of doing it. Which is why I've also decided to stick it together with super glue. Again, I feel like this might be called cheating, but actually, I really enjoyed the process. Now, I also decided I wanted to make some little notches just to help secure the wood to the board. And for this, I used some hand tools that my manager got me for Christmas a few Christmases ago, and this is going to be the first time I've used them. Now, despite the fact I think I've got a really bad technique and there's going to be loads of people telling me that I'm doing this all wrong, I had fun, I enjoyed the process, and when I put it all together, I thought it looked, well, pretty good. So, if you think this technique looks fun, be safe, have a go at it, and let me know, because I'd love to see what you came up with. Okay, so here it is. This is nothing like how I thought it would turn out. But that's the great thing about trying a new technique. By having a play with different techniques, you can just see where it takes you, and that just all adds to the fun. Now, if I was to try this technique again, I'd experiment with thinner slices, try to get a bit more of a bend on there, and see where it goes. I'd also try a few different woods, and if I had a bit more time, I'd probably make a jig and try bending loads of layers and gluing them together and just getting a thicker bend and seeing where that goes. Okay guys, so if this looks fun, why not give it a go? Just make sure you stay safe, and remember, don't ask yourself if you can, ask yourself how you can. You can just play with your wood, try different techniques, and see where it takes you.